Welcome back, everybody. Another edition of The Charlie Show. Thanks for joining us. This week, I'm super excited to show you guys the all-new Axe system. You may have caught a little bit of information about it out there on the social medias and on the interwebs. But I'm excited to be able to show it to everybody for the very first time, up close and personal, talk about all the cool features it has, and most excitingly, built-in Bluetooth connectivity. That means nothing extra to get for the speed control to do any of the customizing, firmware updates, profile changes, all that fun stuff. Just have to have the app in your phone, so real excited. We're going to take a look at the Axe, some of the new features, and how cool it is. All right, here it is, the all-new Axe system. I have one of these out of the truck so you can get it up close and personal and do some size comparisons. Clean package, power caps are built in, nothing really external hanging off the speed control, and it is completely waterproof. The case and stuff is all sealed up. This is a pre-production sample, so I do not know how it's going to come as far as wiring, but I have my motor wired directly in and I soldered these plugs on myself, but I'm not exactly 100% sure what the final outcome is going to be with speed control being pre-wired or not. The sensor wire actually doesn't plug into the speed control. It comes out, it's completely sealed here and goes to this very unique waterproof sensor harness. This system is not just a regular sensor-based system that we've waterproofed. It's actually a completely new design, speed control and motor from the ground up. It uses a different style of sensor, something that's called field orientation control, and it's a bit more involved in how the sensors actually give the information to the speed control, and what it does is allows for some super fine control for low speed, and it allows the motor to kind of match the throttle position to the RPM versus the motor getting told what to do and just dealing with it. In that regard, it makes the system fantastic for driving downhill. The users that got to test this have been super impressed, but take a look at the motor real quick. Technically, it's a 3649 size motor, and I'm going to say that because it's a little bit shorter than your average motor. If you see here, there they are sitting on their end, and it's a touch shorter than your normal 3652 style motor. That's what these guys are, the normal 4-pole and 2-pole 550 size motors that you're used to. It is just a millimeter or two shorter than those guys are. Makes it a little easier to fit into some of those tight scale builds. All sealed up, nice and tight, rubber grommets all the way around that don't lean away from the edges or do anything fun like that. The rotor is a stagger design rotor. You'll have to check that out. We'll put the link down in the description and you'll see what's going on there. The magnet segments actually shift along the motor, and what that does is allows the motor to have super fine control. So not only the sensor setup and the speed control, but the rotor itself was even designed from the ground up to be no cogging whatsoever and have very fine control. Drive them. We had a couple folks install them. People drove my truck and they were blown away by this system. Many of them didn't think that my truck was brushless. I didn't tell them what it was in some situations. This is the best brushless system I've ever driven. It was what many of them said. Some said it feels just as good as a brush system, and others were hands down, this is the best brushless system that they ever drove. So we are super excited for this system to come out. We're going to have 3 different KVs, 1200, 1800, and a 2300. 2300 is going to be faster than most of the brush motor setups you're going to run. 1800 probably similar to a lot of the brush motor setups you're going to run as far as wheel speed, and then the 1200 is for the super scale guys that are looking for mega runtime and are not at all worried about wheel speed. Speed control does 2 to 3S, has a switching BEC built in it. It's stated at 3 amps, but it'll run much harder than any of the 3 amp BECs that I've ever encountered. So you won't need an external BEC for this. It is adjustable. And as we talked about, the Bluetooth is built in. So we will take a look at that in just a minute here. Alright, so we're going to take a look at the Bluetooth connectivity between the new Axe and the Hobbywing app. I'll turn the speed control on first. Hear the speed control beeping. This is the pre-release of the app that I've been using for the last couple months for testing. So if you're looking at this right now, it's going to be a little bit different than the HW link that you have installed, because this has the Bluetooth options down here, setting of the Bluetooth module, which is pretty cool. Speed control's on. I tap the speed control icon button. It shows me that's my speed control to pick from. It's asking me for a password because I've never used this one before. And the default password is 8 8s. It's either 8 8s or 6 8s. I forget. Takes a little bit of time here. And now it's connected and we can go into our parameters and check them out. This one, this is the second unit I had for testing, so it's called the X2. And this brings up the settings, and we'll talk about what all these things do. For the most part, pretty standard stuff. Voltage cutoff for your lipos. Max forward force is exactly that. If you need to turn down the speed when you let the kids drive, you can do it there. Max reverse force, same thing. Slows down the reverse. I don't like to run full speed reverse most of the time, so I do run it just a little bit lower. This setup does have turbo timing. Many trail runners want to have a little bit more wheel speed, so turbo timing allows you to add 10 degrees of timing advance. If you don't know what timing advance is, it's an electronic boost for speed control and motor, essentially. It advances the firing order of the motor, and it makes it go a little bit faster at the cost of runtime and heat, basically. But 10 degrees isn't much. And you can also set a turbo delay. So if you don't want it to come on to full speed right when you click to full throttle, turbo delay allows it to kick in a little bit later. The only reason that I have it set is so you can see and hear it. You can actually, it'll go normal speed and then it kicks in a little bit after that. For the most part, you're going to run turbo delay at 0 if you need more wheel speed. That way, when you get to full throttle, it's nice and normal. Drag brake force. It defaults to 80%. I turned it down just for the sake of turning it down to make sure the settings and stuff like that work. But 80% is more than strong enough, and it goes way, way, way up to 200%. And the reason that it goes up to 200%, obviously 200% isn't a real thing. It's super strong, and we needed to drive that idea home, and that's why the number goes so high. Now, my most exciting setting in all of the Hobbywing crawler lineup is the drag brake rate or drag brake increase rate. And what this setting does is controls how quickly the drag brake applies. So instead of when you release to neutral, just snaps onto the brakes, this is like you're gently pressing down on the brake pedal. I run mine very low most of the time, down at number 1 for super slow. I've been leaving it at default just to get a feel for what it's like. But for the most part, way down here, setting number 1 is going to be slowest, and almost feel like the drag brake isn't being applied the way that it comes down. So it's kind of nice that way. Neutral range is your neutral spot, how wide your neutral is in your speed control, kind of like a deadband area. Throttle increase rate. So this is like a punch control. If your throttle is way aggressive and you want to slow it down, you can turn this to a lower setting. I like mine nice and linear, so I leave it set up. The BEC voltage is adjustable, 2 settings, 6 volt and 7.4, and censored system with motor rotation selection is fantastic. So for like a Traxxas vehicle like I have this in, you can set the opposite motor rotation. For standard transmission vehicles, clockwise is in there as well. And then this actually, because it's a specific motor speed control combo, these motors only work with these speed controls, the motor actually identifies to the speed control what it is. And you see there, it's not adjustable. It's just telling me what it's got installed in there. And then, oops, down on the bottom, you can change the name of your speed control and the picture for your profile and all that fun stuff. So there you have it. Bluetooth Wi-Fi link with the new Axe ESC that is